hands and stepped aside, giving her space when she reappeared. The dress hung loose from her frame, but it covered her. Her lips trembled as she whispered a faint thank you. Her story spilled out in broken pieces. How Roy, her stepfather, had gambled everything. Wild West Stories podcast. How he had traded her like livestock to Silas. How she had fought. How she had struck him. How she had fled. Harlan listened in silence, jaw tightening. He knew the kind of men she spoke of. He had seen their faces on battlefields. Men who took what was not theirs and laughed while they did it. His hand curled into a fist as his eyes darkened. Liza sat quiet, clutching the shirt still draped around her shoulders. For the first time since her mother's death, she felt a sliver of safety, but far beyond those quiet walls. Danger was not finished with her. Would Roy dare to ride up this ranch and demand her back? The sun hung high, the heat pressing heavy on the land. Eliza sat quiet in the old blue dress, her hands folded tight in her lap. Harlan had not said much since she told her story, but the way his jaw stayed locked, the way his eyes fixed on the horizon told her he had already made up his mind. Then came the sound. Hooves, slow at first, then louder until a shadow fell across the yard. Roy Dalton, her stepfather. He swung down from his horse, his shirt damp with sweat, his face lined with anger and greed. Boone, he called to his voice rough. I know. She's in there. She's mine to take back. Inside the house, Eliza gasped her. Fingers dug into the fabric of the dress, as if to hold herself in place. Her heart hammered. She whispered, You found me? Harlan did not answer. He stood steady as stone and walked out to the porch. His boots hit the board slow and sure. He stopped at the top step, his shadow stretching long across the yard. Roy spat in the dirt. Silas won't pay a cent unless I bring her back, so hand her over. Boone, this ain't your fight. For the first time, Harlan spoke. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of years on battlefields and the memory of blood spilled. You come to my ranch, demand Wild West romance movies. What's mine to protect? And think I'll just nod my head. Roy sneered. She don't belong to you. Harlan's hand moved, smooth fast. The revolver was in his grip before Roy even finished his breath. The metal glinted in the sun as he leveled it at the man's chest. Roy froze. Sweat rolled down. his temple. He had seen men draw before, but not like this, not with that kind of certainty. Harlan's voice dropped lower. You'll ride off this land now, and you won't come back, or I'll put you under. This dirt before sundown. The silence stretched, a crow caught in the distance. Roy's shoulder staged. For all his talk, he was a coward at heart. He turned, stumbling back toward his horse, muttering curses that carried no weight. From inside the house, Eliza watched, her breath held tight in her chest. For the first time, she saw not just a rancher, but a soldier who would not yield, a man who would not let evil through his gate. But the fight was not over. Roy might have left for now, but men like him never gave up so easily, and next time he would not come alone. So, if you're still here with me, take a sip of tea, lean back, and tell me what time is it where you are, and where in the world are you listening from? And if you want to hear the rest of this wild West tale, hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss what comes next. The ranch grew quiet after Roy, but Harlan knew silence never lasted long. Men like Roy and Silas always came back, and they rarely came back alone. So he prepared. He cleaned his revolver, checked every chamber, and laid out the rifle by the door. He made sure the fences were solid, the gates locked, and the horses tied where he could reach them fast. Years in the army had taught him one thing: never wait for trouble to knock twice. Eliza watched him with wide eyes. She asked if he thought Roy would dare return. Harlan didn't answer at first. He only gave a short nod, his face set like stone. That was answer enough. The next afternoon, the sound of hooves broke the calm again. Dust rose on the horizon. 3 riders, Silas, Crow, Roy Dalton, and a rough L, looking hand with a scar down his cheek. They reined in at the edge of the yard, their horses restless beneath them. Silas shouted first. You got what? Ain't yours? Boone, hand her over before this turns ugly. Harlan stepped out onto the porch. He did not rush. He moved slow, steady, like a man who had done this before. The revolver rested in his grip, not lifted yet, but ready. The scar-faced hand dismounted and came forward, a sneer on his lips. He reached for the steps as if Harlan was nothing but an old man past his prime. He never saw the punch coming. Heron stepped down, caught him by the collar, and dropped him hard in the dirt with one swift move. The man groaned, clutching his ribs. Stunned by the speed, Silas cursed. He turned to Roy, hissing in his ear. Do it. Show him you ain't scared. Roy's face went pale. He shook his head, but Silas shoved him forward. Roy stumbled a step closer, his hand trembling on the grip of a rusted pistol. Harlan's eyes narrowed. He lifted his revolver, not to warn, but to finish it. The shot cracked like thunder. Roy screamed as the bullet tore through his leg. He dropped to the ground, his gun falling useless in the dust. Silas froze, his courage drained. In an instant, he saw the way Heron stood, calm and certain, his finger steady on the trigger. He knew this was no bluff. Harlan's voice carried across the yard, sharp as steel. Next time, I will not aim for the leg. You come back here again, I will bury you right where you stand. The words hung heavy in the summer air. Silas yanked at his reins, turning his horse fast, leaving Roy writhing on the ground. The scar-faced hand scrambled after him, fear in his eyes. Eliza stood in the doorway, her breath caught in her throat. She had never seen such control, such power in a man who carried it all with quiet certainty. For the first time, she believed Silas and Roy might truly be finished. But was this the end of their cruelty or just the beginning of a darker fate waiting for them down the road? Roy's scream still echoed as Silas pulled him onto a horse and fled across the field. The dust they left behind hung heavy in the summer air, but inside the ranchid, a calm slowly settled again. Harlan holstered his revolver. His face showed no pride, only the weight of what he had done. He turned back toward the house where Eliza stood, the faded blue dress hanging from her frame, her eyes wide with both fear and hope. She stepped out slowly, watching him as if afraid the moment might vanish. When he met her gaze, something shifted. For the first time in years, she felt safe. Not because the world had changed, but because someone had finally stood for her. In the days that followed, Roy never returned. Silas vanished into shame, hiding from the whispers of a man too weak to face his own debts. Roy's gambling caught up with him. The very man he owed came to collect, leaving him broken. His body ruined, his spirit crushed. Eliza stayed at Boone Ranch, at first only to heal. Her wounds closed slowly, but each day under that roof, she found a little more strength. She worked the land beside Heron, carrying water, feeding stock, mending fences. The scars on her heart did strip. Take it all off now. Eliza froze, her bare feet pressed into the dirt floor of the cabin, trembling, the air wire of sweat, whiskey, and fear. Silas Crow, the man twice her age with yellow teeth and greedy eyes, leaned forward from his chair. His voice cut through the silence like a whip. Her lips shook as she whispered, "No." The word hung in the air, fragile but sharp. For the first time in years, she dared to refuse. She wrapped her arms around herself, clutching the torn sleeve of her dress, trying to shield her dignity. Silas slammed his palm down on the table. The wood rattled. His chair screeched as he rose, towering over her. I said, "Strip, girl, or you're worthless." Stepfather will never see her stomach nodded. She could hear her heart pounding louder than the storm outside. She thought of Roy Dalton, the man who had raised her after her mother died, the same man who had gambled away their land, their livestock, their future. He had dragged her here like a calf to auction, and now he stood outside, waiting for the trade to be done, waiting for the money. Tears stung her eyes, but she clenched her jaw. "I won't do it." Silas's eyes narrowed. A twisted smile curled across his face. "Then I'll make you." He lunged. His hand cracked across her cheek with the sting of rawhide. She stumbled back against the wall, clutching her face, the room spinning. He grabbed her arm, yanked her close, and tore at the collar of her dress. The sound of fabric ripping filled the cabin. She gasped. The humiliation burned hotter than the pain. She pushed at his chest, but he was heavier, stronger, a predator that smelled blood. He laughed, a sick laugh, that promised there would be no mercy. "You think you got a choice? You don't." Her breath came in shallow bursts. She